From wherever you're watching us on this wonderful Tuesday night, the 27th of February 2024. Good evening and a very warm welcome to the Daily Report on your qualified channel TV 47. My name is George Maringa. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Rhoda Nyamai.
And from the Daily Reports, certainly there is the People's Court. We get to discuss just how important our children's health. And in this case, then we'll be looking at diabetes and hypertension, in young turks. Very, very important conversation that perhaps we do not get to have so much so. And as they would say, very many of them are not diagnosed. And I mean, it's important that sometimes we just get into that space of understanding, health checkups. Yeah. Equally very, very important. They would probably help you save the child or save the life of that young child.
Yep. Absolutely. And the cases of childhood diabetes and hypertension are on the rise, which tells you two things. First of all, people are testing more than ever, which is important.
Yes.
But also something else is causing this. So we will try to get to the bottom of it, try to understand why this is happening, and that's why we have the People's Court. And on trial tonight is childhood diabetes and hypertension.
And of course, that's why our set looks like a family living room.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have some children somewhere seated there.
It's a family affair, and the families are here. If they've been able to brave the Kiambu Road traffic, it's been absolutely insane. There's been a number of trees and telephone lines and electricity lines that have fallen across the road, which has caused a huge traffic snarl up this side of town.
But of course, that and much more coming your way right here. We invite your feedback. Our SMS lines are open, 22047. Start with your name, where you're watching us from, and your question or feedback regarding the show. At Muyakane, at Linda _ Alela, at George Maringa _ or at TV47 News, that is on X, formerly Twitter. But first,
the highlights.
President William Ruto vows to ensure that Raila Odinga secures the AUC job.
Wakuje kufurusha hii wakora wasiendelee kuwa watu.
Bandits in Baringo killed 2 more people today. This as residents flee the area for fear for their lives.
Part of the complaints of the people in these estates, the residents, is that correspondence to City Hall is never responded to.
And senators temporarily stop the development of affordable houses in Ofafa, Jericho, Lumumba, and Maringo estates until a petition filed by residents is heard.
We are broadcasting from our headquarters here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi. We thank you for choosing to TV47 to inform you, for those of us watching on terrestrial platforms as well as on YouTube, or rather through our other social media platforms and sites. We thank you for choosing us. Use the hashtag Daily Report, hashtag People's Court to join in the conversation. Hundreds of Yatia residents in Baringo County have been forced to flee their homes after bandits killed 2 children today. The relentless wave of banditry attacks has resulted in the loss of 12 lives since the beginning of the year. Now, this violence has paralyzed education in 7 schools within the area as pupils shy away from schools due to the incessant banditry attacks. Families are in distress and the community is in dire need of assistance. Sheila Chelangat's reports on the dire situation in Baringo, with residents calling for intervention from the government.
Yatia area in Baringo North. Tension is high as residents hurriedly pack what little they can carry as they flee the area for the fear of their lives. Unfortunately, the elderly may not be as fortunate, many unable to escape the danger.
Nimetoka kwangu, watu wamehama kabisa, mpaka mimi nilikuwa na gogo nikasema nitafanyia nini kweli. Nimemleta mpaka hata imesindikana hata kwa njia, hata nimewacha yeye msituni hapo. Nimeambia tukaa tu hapo, wacha niende hata niite watu tukuje tukubebe.
And as the homes remain deserted, so are the schools. Radmoch Primary and Yatia Secondary School are now closed, adding to the total of 7 shut schools.
The issue ya security hapa inatishia kwa sababu ukiona wenyeji wakiama, hata wewe unafeel ya kwamba you are also threatened to leave. So that is why tuliharakisha asubuhi kuhakikisha kwamba wanafunzi wameondoka.
Yesterday's killing of 2 children brings the death toll to 12, with the residents here saying enough is enough.
Sijui kama sasa tukiwacha, kama tumewacha sasa Parsuswa, tumekuja hapa na Aturu tumewacha, haya hapa hivi Yate ndio tunawacha, wanatufuata nyuma tena bado wanatufuata, nini mbaya? Wanatufuata mpaka wapi? Au tuende Kabarnet afika huko alafu tukae pamoja.
Locals say they have lost hope in the government's action as the tough talks are yet to yield any fruits.
Askari wale wako hapa hata kifaru peke yake hawana. Wameimba kifaru, wameimba drone, wameimba ndege, hakuna.
And they are demanding.
Nataka rais ajue kwamba wewe ndio uko na pattern. Ukisema leo watu ya Saimosoi wapate amani, watapata amani. Ukinyamaza penye umenyamaza, hakuna amani itakuja.
Interior CS Kithure Kindiki says he will announce new security measures next week that he says will counter the runaway insecurity in the northern part of Kenya. Sheila Chelangat, 4TV 47.
Thank you, Sheila, for that. Now, the construction of affordable houses under the Urban Regeneration Plan in Nairobi City County has been temporarily halted by senators. The Senate Transportation and Housing Committee has instructed Governor Johnson Sakaja to halt the project's implementation until concerns raised by affected tenants are addressed. This directive was issued to enable the Senate address a petition submitted by residents of 3 estates, that is Ofafa Jericho, Ofafa Lumumba and Maringo. Kisawa Emery with more.
Their contention is, and you have heard the governor say, that that land belongs to the county of Nairobi. They are saying that land does not belong to the county of Nairobi. It belongs to the residents of those 3 estates.
8 months since the housing matter was brought before the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing, Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja finally appeared before the committee after missing several summons and incurring a $500,000 shilling fine.
I'm very happy to come every time you call me, and I profusely and deeply apologize to the people of Nairobi for not having come on those 2 or so instances.
The Nairobi County government plans to construct affordable apartments under the Nairobi Integrated Urban Development Master Plan on the county's old estates. However, residents of these estates claim ownership through a tenant purchase scheme established when these houses were built by the now defunct Nairobi City Council and the State of Israel in the 80s and early 90s. However, Sakaja claims that no such agreement was signed between the 2 countries.
We used to talk about 22, 25, 27. That is a song in Jericho. I asked them for a copy of the agreement if they had it. Chair, if the county doesn't have that, sometimes you have an urban legend that kuna kuanga na hii agreement, but it is not there in the county. And if it is not there, we can't create an agreement now. Chair, you have the powers to actually summon it from the government of Israel if it exists, or if anybody has ever seen such an agreement. But in the county, there is no record of any such agreement. Chair, this land is county land for all intents and purposes. There are many such estates. Chair, you have the list of all of them: Maringo, Mbotela, Kaluleni, Bahati, Landis, etc. Around 17 of these estates.
However, the governor says that since tenants have been paying rent for many years, they will not need to spend additional funds to own the new houses.
To actually grant ownership to the people of Nairobi for the contributions they have made over the years in those estates, and just making sure the estates have retained their character. There have been very loyal tenants to the county of Nairobi. And now they will be owners of their houses in those estates.
Despite this, Kiambu Senator Karungo Thangwa demanded that Sakaja provide his committee with copies of proposed MOUs with the beneficiaries and a copy of his cabinet resolution within 14 days. The county government plans to construct a total of 40,000 housing units in 13 estates. Kisewa Emory reporting for TV47.
Now, it is now 4 years since the COVID billionaires scandal rocked the airwaves. However, the directors of the unscrupulous companies that benefited from the irregular tenders awarded by KEMSA are yet to face legal action. Now, today, the probe into the COVID-19 scandal faced some hitches after the EACC chairman, KRA Director General and Principal Secretary for the Department of Medical Services failed to appear before National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Implementation. Elizabeth Atieno with the details.
In 2020, as nations around the world were grappling with the COVID-19 pandemic, a different pandemic was ailing the country, that of corruption, as it emerged that some companies worked with some suspended officials at the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority, KEMSA, to award tenders and supply some vital protective gears like the KN95 mask, hazmat suits, face shields, waterproof shoe covers and gloves. Investigations led by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission will then reveal that 7.8 billion Kenya shilling tenders awarded to the said companies was not made in line with the procurement law. Some of the companies said to have benefited from the tender include Kilig Limited, which was awarded 4 billion Kenya shillings tender, Shop and Buy Limited awarded 970 million Kenya shillings tender, Accenture Kenya, Abyssinia Group of Industries, Bell Industries, Medlife Biologicals Limited, Ziwala Limited, Light Up Africa Limited, Walabis Ventures Limited, Meraki Healthcare Limited, and NanoPay Limited.
Some of the companies, several of them, that looted this country, over 6 billion, none of them, of their directors, has ever been prosecuted or summoned.
These companies, Kenyans have been waiting for them to be prosecuted, to return money that they took illegally from the people of Kenya.
On the 26th of August 2020, former President Uhuru Kenyatta ordered investigating agencies to finalize the investigations within 21 days. To date, this deadline has been missed.
Now we are wondering that the 21 days that the former president gave, it has turned out we question whether it was 21 years or 21 months, because since the president gave a directive, this matter has not been concluded.
On Tuesday, the National Assembly Committee on Implementation sought to commence the special audit on utilization of the COVID-19 funds, but the meeting was adjourned after EACC Chair, KRA Commissioner General, and the PS for Medical Services failed to show up, and instead sending their representatives, a move that did not sit well with the parliamentarians.
And of course, I kept wondering, how can we be having these issues? And I expected a serious response, a serious panel.
The said officials have been summoned to appear before the committee on the 19th of March 2024, failure to which they risk paying a 500,000 Kenya shillings fine or serve a 6-month prison sentence. And if they do appear, then Kenyans will get to know the 4-year detailed investigation report into the scandal that will be made public by the EACC. 4 years down the line, the companies linked to the COVID-19 scandal that robbed the taxpayers billions of shillings are yet to face the law. Elizabeth Atieno, TV47, Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for that. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Moses Wetangula, has confirmed receiving the report on the 2/3 gender balance regarding gender representation in government. The report, presented by the multi-sectoral group through the CS for Gender and Culture, Aisha Jumwa, aims to ensure fair gender representation in a proportional manner. The report recommends a constitutional amendment to provide for gender top-up through party lists. Additionally, the Political Parties Act of 2011 will be amended to establish the Women Inclusion and Political Participation Fund. This report is set to be adopted by the National Assembly for further amendments before it is combined with the National Dialogue Report, NADCO. Speaking during a meeting with Azimio leader Raila Odinga, Gender CS Aisha Jumwa said they have agreed on the importance of gender parity. Raila emphasized the necessity of including women in government.
That he has given us opportunity. Tumeongea na yeye pia ana yale ya kuwaelezea.
Hii agenda ilikuwa na pingo vikali sana kwa kule Bomas of Kenya. Lakini hiyo ilikuwa kwa sababu ya kutoelewa. Sasa wamama wametembea mpaka wamefika hapa. Yale tunataka kuona inafanyika. Kwa wamama wanakuwa na nafasi sawa na wanaume katika mambo ya uwakilishi. Na vile vile pale ambayo sheria inadongwa, pale ambayo uamuzi juu ya maendeleo inachukuliwa, mama wawe na sauti sawa na wanaume. Hii Kenya ni yetu yote pamoja. Tumesema Kenya haiwezi kuendelea mbele bila wakina mama kushirikishwa katika juhudi ya maendeleo. Kwa hivyo tumesema tunataka tufuate mfumo kama ile ambayo inafanyika kule Afrika Kusini au kule Ujerumani. Na hivyo kwa kimombo proportional representation.
Away from that, an administrative police officer has shot and killed a fellow prison officer at an entertainment joint in Kitale, Trans Nzoia County. The circumstances surrounding the shooting, however, remain unknown. Police are holding the officer who fired the shot, while the body of the deceased prison officer has been moved to the Level 4 hospital mortuary in Kitale. Isaac Famba with the details.
Tension crept the area as the officer began shooting aimlessly, with other security personnel taking considerable time to locate his whereabouts. Residents were left in shock after the officer fatally shot his colleague on the spot.
Waathiriwa ni watu ambao nimeweza kujua. Mmoja ambaye ameweza kuuawa ni askari ambaye tunaweza kupatana naye kila siku kwa ajili ya kazi. Mwingine ambaye ameweza kufanya tukio ni askari ambaye tumeweza kujuana naye kwa leo, na ni ukweli kwamba kwake tukiwa naye aliweza kujiintroduce na kusema kwamba yeye ni askari.
Kitendo kenye kimefanyika leo kimetushangaisha sana, kwa sababu maofisa walikuwa kazini na umepatikana wako ndani ya kilabu, walikuwa wanakunywa pombe na wakaanza kusosana. Ni kitu yenye tumekuja kushangaa. Kwa hapo tu tumeona serikali yenyewe inaficha maneno, hata wataki tuone jamaa, yani wanaficha maneno yao. Wakielekeza huyo jamaa wakichukua mwili wakipeleka moja.
The move by security officers to visit entertainment joints with weapons has sparked significant criticism, with calls for the police department to exercise caution when deploying police officers.
Si sawa afisa wa polisi kuweka sheria mkononi, na vile vile si sawa afisa yeyote kuweza kupatikana akiwa armed pahali popote pa vileo.
Isaac Famba, TV47, Trans Nzoia County.
Now, the driver of the vehicle that caused the ill-fated accident along the Kitui-Machakos Road is said to have been speeding and had no speed governor at the time of the accident. The driver of the bus, which was also overloaded with 30 sacks of charcoal and passengers inside, lost control and rolled severally in Katangi area en route to Machakos. The chairperson of Road Safety Association of Kenya, David Kiarie, now wants National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, to be held accountable, as Vera Alberta now reports.
A grisly road accident along the Kitui-Machakos Road led to the death of 9 people and several others being injured.
Wakati ilianguka, mimi nilijitoa kwa gari.
Nikanjitoa kasimama, na nilikuwa na makazini wangu watatu, kaenda nikawaangalia pia.
Police say the vehicle involved in the accident had no speed governor and the driver was speeding and overloaded at the time of the accident.
Gari ilikuwa imefanya speed. Ni kwa sababu I have managed to obtain the report yake ya speed governor. Iling'oa governor yake tarehe 2 mwezi wa 2, haijakuwa ikienda na governor. Kwa hivyo kidhibiti mwendo yake iko hali mbaya na ninaelekea huko.
National Transport and Safety Authority has been put on the spot for failing to inspect public service vehicles.
Time of us saying NTSC should be disbanded is now, because they are not doing anything. These vehicles are not going for inspection. Kutoka tarehe 2 hii gari ilikuwa imetolewa speed governor. Why? Kwa nini hawakujua?
Machakos Deputy Governor Francis Mwangangi has at the same time assured the injured that they will be treated and the bills catered for.
All your medical bills, Dr. Yumbi and the team are under instruction. Please take good care of those patients. But the bills, please, the governor said, you take good care, but musiwalipishe tafadhali. Ensure they feed well, ensure they are treated well.
Among the 9 people who died in the accident is a 9-year-old child. 25 of the injured are male, 6 were female, and 3 were children.
Kwa hivyo ningependa kusema ya kwamba tunashukuru wote ambao wameshughulika katika jambo hili na kushukuru madaktari hasa wa level 5.
Vera Alberta, T47.
Thank you, Vera, for that. To the story we had hinted to you earlier on, where Kiambu Road was temporarily closed this evening due to heavy rains that wreaked havoc in the area. Large trees, electricity poles, banners and other objects had fallen, blocking Kiambu Road completely. The situation worsened as drivers and pedestrians struggled to navigate the busy road leading to Kiambu, causing a traffic snarl-up stretching all the way from the capital city, Nairobi, to Kiambu. You might want to use alternative routes if you're flying along that route, because I can confirm to you that there is still quite some very heavy traffic snarl-up, and those flying that route might want to seek alternative options to be able to move, especially at this hour of the night. Time now for business news. Let's make sense of the sense. Now, Kenya will be distributing power to 13 other countries during off-peak hours in the joint East Africa pool, a regional approach at solving power crisis across borders at an agreed tariff to reduce overall power cost. Energy Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir says seamless cross-border energy trade will be governed through an independent power regulatory whose policy framework will be as agreed upon in the next few weeks. As Hibak Said now reports, the new power pool might bring new off-takers in the game, dethroning Kenya Power. Take a look.
The East African region shares a total 90,000 megawatts with a consumption surplus of 40,000 megawatts. This surplus is projected to grow annually at an impressive rate of 6%. This substantial pool of energy has the potential to provide electricity to approximately 600 million Africans, marking a significant step towards realizing the Africa Continental Free Trade Area vision, particularly in the energy sector.
In Kenya, we'll have excess power at night generated from geothermal, and yet our neighbors in Tanzania may not be having enough power. So the concept of the power pool is to be able to trade in power. Where there is excess power, we push it to markets. And to be able to do that, we need interconnectivity.
The Eastern African Power Pool remains committed to enhancing energy security, promoting cross-border electricity trade, and driving the development of renewable energy sources within our member countries.
So what are the prospects for Kenya? For one, uninterrupted power supply, with a pool large enough to share out power across 13 countries, trading currently at 3,400 gigawatt hours, laying a strong foundation for enhanced energy security and stability. Furthermore, this means a push towards achieving the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, a dream that has been in the pipeline since 2018 with very little to show for it.
And if we put our resources together, we shall be able to actually drive the economies of our various countries. Energy is critical in development.
However, what does regional integration in energy truly mean for the sole power distributor in the country? Does the prospect of a regional regulatory body and several policy shifts open up the market for other off-takers?
With the power trade happening, we should be able to move power across borders. And therefore, we are working on frameworks where is the off-taker Kenya Power going to be buying power, and is it Kenya Power or the off-taker the one going to be transmitting the power across and charging, or what are the frameworks that we employ? And therefore we need to inculcate and bring in the independent power producers.
Despite all this, the prospect of a joint approach in solving regional power qualms gives hope and relief for the end consumer and the overall prices. Interconnectors between different countries to share out power during off-peak hours sounds like a dream, but the East African Power Pool, which could be realized by December this year, promises that through a regulator this could be done and maybe power prices might go down. Ibak Said for TV 47 Nairobi.
Let's get sporty now, and the national athletics team, which clinched the Africa cross-country title in Tunisia, is back in the country. The squad won 8 medals last weekend as a warm-up for the World Cross-Country Championships in Serbia. Our reporter Fiona Achieng was at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and tells us why Kenya will be the team to beat in Belgrade in March.
8 medals comprising 4 gold, 3 silver and 1 bronze have jetted back in the country after a heroic display at the 6th edition of the Africa Cross Country Championships in Tunisia. Vincent Langat led a 1-2 Kenyan finish in the senior men's 10-kilometer race ahead of Naibe Kiplimo.
Nilikuwa nimejiandaa kutoka mwezi wa December. Nilikuwa najua kabisa hadi nikate timu ya cross.
In the women's category, Cynthia Chepngeno clinched gold while Virginia Nyambura bagged silver.
Tulikuwa tuna challenge ya baridi, huko ilikuwa baridi sana na upepo, lakini tuliweza kung'ang'ana tukaleta medali nyumbani.
Gideon Kipngetich led a clean sweep in the men's under-20 race ahead of Joash Kiprotich Ruto and Titus Kiprotich.
Niko na furaha sana na napongeza Kenya kwa kutu-select na kutupeleka hadi Tunisia na kuturudisha salama.
The team will now shift focus to the World Cross Country Championship in Belgrade, Serbia, scheduled to take place from 30th of March.
Kwa sasa tunangojea trials ya World Cross Country next week na tumejiandaa, tunangojea hiyo na tunaomba Mungu atulinde hadi siku hiyo.
The Kenyan team have just landed from Hammamet, Tunisia, following the Africa Cross Country Championships, where Kenyan team maintained their top position by acquiring 8 medals in total. Fiona Achieng, TV47 Sports.
Thank you, Fiona, for that. Athletes training at the Nyahururu Stadium have condemned the poor state of the training pitch, which leaves many of them with injuries. The training facility has been attracting a huge number of sportsmen and women due to its high altitude. However, the runners claim it has been neglected by the authorities. They said that the field requires proper drainage to prevent flooding of water. Details of that report will be coming your way in a short while. Now, still on more sports news is that, in fact, that is where we wind up the news segment right here on the Daily Report tonight, the 27th of February 2024. Up next on the People's Court is the discussion that we did tell you, an important conversation on focus on childhood diabetes and hypertension. It is one of a kind discussion